This is the EWN Podcast Network.
Ever wondered how you could turn your side hustle into a full-time gig and spend more time together?
Hi, I'm Vicki, a #1 best-selling author.
And I'm John, a retired Los Angeles police officer. Welcome to Dig the Well, where we help couples navigate the world of business.
We've been married for 35 years, and because we built a successful side business, John retired 9 years earlier than he originally planned from the Los Angeles Police Department after 25 years on the job. Now we spend more time together, and we want to help couples like you do the same.
Join us as we help you overcome common obstacles, and we show you how to make extra income without sacrificing family time.
Ready to dig deep and build your well? Let's get started. All right. Hello. Happy Thursday.
Yay.
Happy episode 13, lucky number 13. We're actually able to call it out this week.
Yeah.
We know what number it is.
We got a Friday the 13th this month.
Do we?
We did.
We did already. Yeah. That's great. And we are excited to be with you during this holiday season. It's crazy. We're wearing our Christmassy getup. I've got my reindeer hat on.
The ugly sweater episode, because that's Santa, which I don't think anyone wants to see Santa like that.
I know, Santa posing.
Doesn't he have like a bottle of wine or something?
Oh, yeah, he does. Or a big beer bottle. If you're listening to us, you can't see us. We are dressed up in our best holiday gear, that's for sure.
Wouldn't say it's my best.
Yeah, the funniest. And I actually think I look kind of cute. I've got my farmer.
You do. I don't.
Yeah, but it's funny. It's funny. We all love this crazy time of year. And, if you're able to put a comment while you're listening to us, put in the chat if you have worn an ugly sweater yet this year, if you're planning to. Are you going to a party wearing an ugly sweater? Is it an ugly sweater contest? We'd love to hear, because I know they're still doing those.
Maybe you think it's a good looking sweater, but everyone else says it's an ugly sweater. Put that in there.
That is true. I have one. Maybe I'll wear it next week because it'll be the day after Christmas. Will it? Yeah, it'll be. Oh my gosh, it's coming so fast.
Yeah.
And I think it's cute, but I bet people would say it's ugly now. Sad. But anyway, we're excited to be on, John and Vicki here, to talk about another kind of time-sensitive challenge that a lot of entrepreneurs have this time of year, and when we're looking forward to the new year, and that's calendar control.
Yeah. Some of the things we're going to talk about today, maybe like almost like a New Year's resolution for some of you folks that have never really spent much time or given much thought to calendar control and time control, because it will change how you do things and make you so much more efficient if you take that as a New Year's resolution, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I do think I get the most questions on how do you fit a business into a busy schedule, especially a side business, right?
Yeah.
How do you start a second or third business, have multiple streams, in a busy life? Well, it's calendar control.
Yeah. And if you learn to master just that part of your life, you're going to find things are going to go so much better for you and so much easier. And it's not just business stuff, but it's every task that you have at home, at work, everything.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. And there's that Pareto's law. There's a law, I should have looked it up, where whatever amount of time you allot to doing a task, you will take up all that time. And so that's a really good point on the fact that if you tell yourself, especially like I think of myself around the house, I could take all day to clean the house if I wanted to clean it. But if I just say I'm giving myself 20 minutes, somebody's coming over, I even trick my mind into thinking somebody's coming over in 20 minutes, man, I can make it clean and looking pretty good fast. Otherwise, if I give it all day, it's going to take all day.
Yeah,
so
that's so true that, you think if you have a big house, you end up filling that house with junk.
Yeah.
Well, at least from our perspective, right? There's so much we have in our home that we don't need. And if we lived in a much smaller home, we wouldn't have all that stuff. And it's like even the garage, think about it. We moved a car out of the garage to have some more room. Well, it ended up just being filled with stuff that we don't need in the garage.
I know. Yeah, because we're not in a rush to get it out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you
that's
have that
really
space,
true.
you're going to take it up. So if you have that, if you a lot of time, you're going to take all that time.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, so today's episode is all about the power of uh, calendar control, why being proactive instead of reactive in your life is so important. Why you want to have calendar control? That's being proactive, planning your day before the day begins instead of not having a schedule and then suddenly things pop up and that's being reactive and you're like, oh, I better handle that right now, instead of already having your day planned and seeing pockets in your day that you can, if something does come up, you can then fit it in right easily, instead of letting life overtake you. Right. And that's a lot of challenges I hear from entrepreneurs. They feel like their day runs them instead of the converse, you running your own day. So we're talking about that. And really also lack of calendar control can lead to burnout. I just met a woman at an event and she wrote a book on burnout today.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it's coming out in January. And that's such a hot topic because, especially for entrepreneurs, you're working, doing. And if you don't have your calendar in control and you're not saying no to some things that aren't going to move the needle, then you are spinning your wheels, doing all the things, and you can easily burn out and think you're not making a difference in your business. So having this under control is key.
Yeah. How frustrating is that? Like if you don't have control over it, it's almost like the car's driving you instead of you
Yeah.
driving the car.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah. Another thing you want to do is set your priorities first. So you want to identify like the big rocks in your life, whether it's family, health, personal development, business goals, whatever they are. And you want to schedule those first, because those are the important things in your life. Then make them important, make them a priority and do those first. And then there's a thing called the Eisenhower Matrix. And I don't think we don't have that. So we can't show you what that is. But if you see what it is, it's basically a simple matrix, and it talks about what are important, what's not important, what's urgent, and what's not urgent. So you have basically 4 quadrants to this matrix. And so what you're really looking for are the things that are important and urgent. Those are your priorities. Those are the things you need to do, and you need to do them now and make sure that they get done. Then for the items that are important but not urgent, you want to set a time, schedule that to do those when you have the time to do that. Like what Vicky was saying, when you have those little cracks and crevices in your schedule, you have some free time, do those items that fall into that quadrant. Then on the other side, you have what's urgent but not important. So those are things that can easily be delegated. Have someone else do them. For me, it's cleaning the pool, right? Keeping
yeah,
the pool maintenance guy.
that's true.
Yeah, it's important, but it's not urgent. It's not something that I need to do. And I can hire someone to do that. And actually a professional who does a much better job than what I could do. And it frees me up, my time up to do things that are important and urgent. So the things I have to do or important, but not necessarily urgent. It's still something that I have to do, but I can do it in my time. So when Mike's out here cleaning the pool, I can be doing something else that's business oriented, family oriented, whatever my big rocks are, right?
Yeah.
And then lastly, you have things that are not important and not urgent. Hit the delete button. Don't waste your time. Don't do them. Don't delegate them because they're not important.
Yeah. So they should be like a no, right? Like,
Yeah, right.
no.
It's just delete.
I love that.
And then you're done with it. Never even think about it again.
Yeah.
And then you have to understand the importance of saying no to things, because we all know that we get pulled in different directions. We all have work, we all have family, we all have different things, friends, whatever. And you're going to be asked to do things that you might just have to say no. And it's not that you're being mean or being an a-hole about it. It's just that it's something that doesn't fit into your life, your family, and you just have to say no.
Yeah. Yeah. I think women have a tough time dealing with that. I think you guys as men, don't you think you're when you don't want to do something, you don't see it fitting in your master plan of moving you forward, you just easily say no, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
I think, yeah, I'm a people pleaser and I tend to want to say yes. And it's a tough thing, but that's key, really
Yeah.
key. I think especially when everybody learns that, you're going to be so much happier. I know when I've let that go, I've become much happier and have way more time in my day. Yeah. All right. Moving on to number 3. And by the way, I should have mentioned we have like 10 topics we're talking about when it comes to calendar control. So moving on to number 3, and that's time blocking. And we've talked a little bit about this in a previous episode. Actually, I think in a couple episodes
It's that
because
important, huh?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's why yeah, 100%. It's that important. So, what is time blocking? You can Google it, but I will tell you quickly it is setting portions of your day in your calendar to do certain tasks, whether it's 15 minutes, I'm going to go on social media and actually look for my Class A prospect, my Class A client, my avatar, a lot of people call it your ideal client, and comment on their posts, comment in the groups that they are in, and they're your client, and making friends with them, socializing with them, taking things to Messenger, or whatever that if you're on Instagram, just take it into the message, the DMs, and becoming friends with people. So that might be 15 minutes a day you're doing that. 15 minutes a day, you're making follow up phone calls. 15 minutes a day, you're talking with a teammate and coaching them. Whatever those time blocks are, it's you prioritizing the most important things that you need to get done that day and then mapping that, blocking that in your schedule to get it done. But I will say, and I think John might be talking about this in a little bit, you need to leave space in your calendar, like what I like typically do if I'm on a 30-minute phone call, coaching call with someone, I leave time between the end of that 30-minute call and the next call, because that's where we're talking about being proactive. Things are going to pop in. Maybe a kid is sick at school and the school calls, and you've got to go get them. If you don't have little pockets of time to make that happen where you don't have to rearrange your whole schedule, that's going to add a lot of stress to your life. And really, we want to help you de-stress. Nobody does well with tons and tons of stress. So that's one thing about time blocking, that yes, I block my time, but I leave blocks where nothing is happening. And maybe you just need to stretch your legs. Maybe you just need to get up, get away from the computer or get away from the phone and go get something to drink. Look out in the distance so you're not staring at, something you're reading, a computer screen, make your eyes feel better. Sometimes you might even need to just close your eyes. I know I'm a napper. And every once in a while, I block in time to take a nap. And I know that sounds crazy, but guess what? I wake up from that 15-minute nap refreshed, ready to go again, not in a bad mood. So definitely that's key to factor all those in. And I wanted to give you tips on ways of creating flexible yet structured time blocks. And that really, I think, is it for me. That's what I've done over the years. What I just shared, it is. Um, I'll say I learned this from the book 10x is easier than 2x that we've been reading. And they talk about um, scheduling serious conversations, 2 or 3 at most in a day. So if you're coaching people, I don't schedule more than 3 coaching calls in one day. And I know some of you that are listening and are coaches, you're thinking that's crazy. I probably do 10 a day. Well, I just know my personality and I can give, but after a while I'm exhausted of pouring into other people and I can't I just know my brain needs some time off to recharge. So that's where I'm super careful about only planning 3, coaching pointed calls in a day. So that's where I want you guys to be creative. You know how to be flexible, and you know how to schedule empty time slots too in your day, and just make sure you do that.
I wanted to, as you were speaking about like resetting, like for your brain, you're saying that you kind of need that little break. And then you mentioned that about your eyes looking at the computer screen, which is great advice. And it was just made me think of something that I hadn't thought about in a while. Like we spoke about like some of the different things that we've both done throughout our lives. And one of the things I did was I did professional photography for a little bit. And I remember some advice that was given to me by the director of photography at CBS said that since photographers nowadays spend so much time behind a computer, not so much behind a camera, we spend way more time behind the computer staring at a screen. They said, I remember they was telling us that do your eyes a favor and look away from the screen. So take 20 minutes, every 20 minutes, look away from the computer and look at something 20 feet away for 2 minutes. Let your eyes focus on something at a greater distance. And I noticed that if I didn't follow that rule and I was staring at the computer screen for an hour at a time or so, when I tried to look away at something at 20 feet, it wasn't in focus. It took a while for me to focus on that. And then later, as I did that, took that advice, every 20 minutes looking away, my eyes were so much better for it.
That's so cool.
So
Yeah.
it's very interesting you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 4 is going to be morning or night planning routine. So I know it says morning or night, and I think it's best to have morning and night. So later we'll talk about the nighttime planning routine, but you want to plan the day before the day begins, right? And so start each day with 5 to 10 minutes reviewing your calendar. And you want to use this time to prioritize your tasks and make adjustments as needed. Um, and then at the same time, you're going to set your daily intentions. And what I do in my routine every morning, and this may work for some of you guys or not, I don't know. But in the mornings, now I get up early in the morning, and I never did that before. I was always like the night owl. Ever since I was a little kid, I used to get in so much trouble because when it was bedtime, I was awake. I was wide awake. I was listening to music. I was reading. I was doing something other than sleeping. And I didn't really want to get up early in the morning. That just wasn't my thing. And throughout most of my working career, I worked nights. So I didn't have to. So that was great for me. And at the end of the career, I worked an assignment that was daytime. So I had to get up early in the, gosh, it was torture, right? It was absolute torture getting up to an alarm clock and having to get up early in the morning and whatnot. And now I'm kind of used to it. And I actually enjoyed those early mornings. And so we both get up usually before sunrise.
Yeah.
And one of the things we do, and we sit in different areas of the living room, but I like to face straight out the living room window. And I like to watch the sunrise. The sun actually rises behind on the other side of the house, but I just love to see the mountains that we can see from our living room.
Yeah.
We can see the top of the mountain kind of bathed in sunlight. And as the sunlight moves down, as the sun's coming up, we start seeing other things come into vision because, when it's twilight, you can just make out like some just ghostly silhouettes. And then as the light comes in, it's just really cool. That's a really cool time of day. But also during that day, I look at my calendar. That's the first thing I look at, of printed material or whatnot. I don't start the computer. I don't do anything other than I open up my calendar and I look at what I have planned for the day. And I prioritize those things, right? I go back to that Eisenhower Matrix and I figure out, okay, these are the things I have to get done today. These are the things I'll get done when I can. And then the things I'm going to delegate, I delegate. And the things that aren't important, delete. And I think that's such an important part of getting your day started because you get your day started kind of right? Like they always said, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. You want to, and now they're saying with intermittent fasting.
Now they're saying it might not be true. I know. It's so funny.
But the point of the thing is you want to start your day on the right foot. And if you can get your day started that way, things tend to fall in place a little better and a little easier. And you don't get sidetracked. And even if you do, if something comes up that isn't exactly as planned, it's okay because you have your day planned. You know what comes next. You know what you're gonna do, so you can get past those little setbacks.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And it's funny as you were describing your mornings. This morning was really fun. It was before dawn when we were both got up, and I think it was wasn't it the book The Miracle Morning where we started getting up early? If you haven't read that book too, by Hal Elrod, Miracle Morning, so good. But you're right. Not that long ago, only a few years ago, we started getting up early, and this morning, our Christmas tree is in that window that John was talking about.
Oh, yeah.
And we actually have a pine tree out front. We live in Southern California. We have a pine tree in the front yard. And actually have a couple.
3 of them.
Exactly. And we're thinking about cutting them down and planting something else. But right now I'm really enjoying because our Christmas tree is inside the house. The pine trees are outside. And then they were just starting to glow and it just looked gorgeous. I wished I could have, snapped a photo. I guess I could have picked up my phone and done that.
You got tomorrow morning.
But I feel like photos don't do it justice. You had to be there. It felt like we were in the mountains, because the background looked almost like snow even though it wasn't. So
yeah,
yeah,
you're right. The photos really don't do it justice.
they
We have some friends that
don't.
are in Switzerland right now,
Yeah,
and they've been sending us pictures. And Keith even said that on one of them, he said, these pictures don't do it justice. And they looked amazing.
yeah,
He's got the Matterhorn in the background. He's got just
yeah.
the mountains in Switzerland. And it's all snow covered. And to us, the pictures were just amazing. And we've been to Switzerland,
We
but not in the wintertime.
yeah, and we
it
were
is,
jealous.
wow,
We were
it is just
jelly.
beautiful. Yeah. But he was saying that the pictures don't do it justice. So you can take a picture tomorrow morning and
I
it's
know.
not going to look the same.
I know it won't. So, I know this is off topic, but cherish every moment. Like, yeah, don't take life so seriously that you miss out on those little things for sure as you're building your dream as an entrepreneur. So, number 5, batching tasks. I would have thought I would have learned this many years ago, but I don't feel like I did. I feel like it was 2020 when we were coached by we hired a LinkedIn coach. Shout out to Scott Aaron if you're listening, Scott. Scott Aaron? No. Is that I think anyway, he's a LinkedIn coach. Scott. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
But anyway, really good LinkedIn coach, he and his wife, and they were having us batch some content for LinkedIn, some videos, 3-minute videos on different ingredients in our product, not talking about who makes our product, but just educating people, right? Giving free content like we're doing here with our podcast, giving free content for all y'all. And um and I realized, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. Instead of like at drudgery, like, oh, we have to make another video today. And then the next week, oh, would you just think you're done? And then, oh, I have to make another one. And it's, if it's not something you love to do, if you love to make videos, it's great, right? But if it's, out of your comfort zone, which for most people, that kind of thing is, batching content is so amazing. Set yourself free. Try it if you haven't. If you're coached or you just know that you need to do something out of your comfort zone, do it. Schedule time in your calendar to do it in batches. Right. And if it is a video and you want to make it look like different days, you just go change your clothes, come back on, do it again. In fact, we did that creating this podcast. Didn't we do 3 in one day? Just put different clothes on. You guys didn't even know. But then, if you have a crazy month coming up and you've got to get some content out there, even if it's creating a PowerPoint, it doesn't have to be a video, but you're going to be speaking somewhere and you need a PowerPoint for this. But then a couple of weeks later, you're speaking somewhere else and you need another PowerPoint. Go ahead and batch it. Do it all in one day and get it out of your hair. And better yet, like John was saying on that Matrix, if somebody else could do it for you, pay for it, pay somebody else to do it. There are such great content creators for you, all VAs out there that don't cost very much at all. Your time is worth money. And I know that's kind of a different subject, but we talked about that years ago. I remember John calculated out how much we make in a day and then then divided that by how many hours in that day. And I remember one time you I think it was around $500 a an hour. It was a crazy amount. So if you've never thought about that when you're planning your day and trying to do everything instead of paying someone else, think about that, what your time is worth if you were actually doing the tasks that are going to make the cash register ring, right?
Yeah. Because the guy mowing your lawn you're not paying him $500 an hour to do that.
Exactly. So,
and the other thing too is even if you were thinking, well, gosh, it does still make sense for me to mow my own lawn, to maintain my own pool or whatever. Sometimes by paying someone else to do it, it gives you some free time, gives you that reset time that maybe it's better for you to have than to go from one task to the next task to the next task without any kind of a break. Give yourself a break.
So good. And
OSHA says that.
Who?
OSHA.
Oh, really?
Occupational safety.
Yeah, they do actually.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a joke. You have to take breaks.
Sorry.
They're required, right? The law requires employers to give employees breaks. Yeah. So you're your own employee, so give yourself a break.
Right. That makes total sense. And one last thing about batching content is it reduces your overwhelm. right? Instead of always feeling like you're switching gears, like, oh, I have to answer these emails. Now I got to go over here. Now I've got to do this. Now I have a phone call. But by staying in the zone and batching, you're not going to be as overwhelmed switching gears all the time. So that's totally true.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the next topic is going to be planning for the unexpected, and we actually spoke about a lot of these things already. Having buffer time, right? So you want to leave room in your schedule to be flexible, and that's going to help you with your sanity for one. But it also helps you be more efficient because you have that flexibility. You have the time. Okay, this didn't go as planned because things won't always go as planned. In fact, generally they don't. Right?
Exactly.
And you really have to be flexible. You can't just be locked into a certain way that things happen. I know we used to train that way when I was, when I was a policeman, and we would do entries. We served a lot of warrants. That was one of the things our unit did. We served a ton of warrants. And on those warrant entries, there's a certain way we go through doors, and there's a certain technique that we use. And it can go one of two ways depending upon the first one going through the door. They kind of set the technique for the ones that follow through that doorway. And we would try and plan it out to be a certain way. But what if the first one through, number one through, did the other? So if I'm going through second, I have to adjust, and I can't have it so locked in my plan and be inflexible, because the whole thing's going to go south on us. So the second one through the door has to key off the first and just go with whatever plan is laid out in front of them. So um, just plan for the unexpected and just have a backup plan, especially for critical tasks, right? You have to have some sort of a backup to where if it doesn't go, which, like we said, it probably won't, if it doesn't go, you can make it happen. And if you think about some of the critical things we do in this country, like NASA, when they're sending men to the moon, right? And up into space, they have backups for backups for backups because they know things are going to go wrong. They expect it. And when they do, they don't just fold because there's lives at stake. They just say, okay, we're going to plan B. Plan B didn't work. Okay, we're going to plan C. Don't worry, guys. We got you covered because we have a plan for this. So just plan for that. You're going to find that things will go so much smoother and you'll stay sane.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about also, like, we just got a new projector for me because I'm going to be training at some meetings coming up, and I know we had an old projector, and I had to bring all the connectors, and I had to plan for the unexpected always, because you didn't know what you're walking into. Speaking in different rooms, you don't know how you can connect your laptop and projector to maybe a TV, or to the actually projecting it on a screen. Sometimes I would bring an extra screen because I didn't know what if something happens to the screen that the hotel's providing. So yeah, it's really true, to always come with a backup. I bring extras of everything. I know you always
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
Even in police work, now that I think about it, I love throwing in the police stories. John in his backpack or war bag would have extra socks, extra underwear. I know that sounds crazy, but that was in case you had to spend like it was a late arrest and you'd be there the next day. You had extra t-shirts, all kinds of extra. You just planned for it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a backup for everything we had.
Yeah.
And that was true even in photography.
Yeah.
Like when I would go, especially on assignments that required lighting, I had extra lights, extra stands, extra camera bodies, extra everything. And it
Yeah.
reminds me of something that happened. We were at an event, and there was a professional photographer there, and the guy's exceptional. And he had two lights, but he needed two lights. One light didn't work, and he couldn't figure out how that light didn't work. He made it all work with the single light, but I guarantee you he probably wasn't happy with the images he captured when he went back and edited them on the computer, because the second light makes all the difference in the world. But he's a good enough photographer. He still made it work with the single light. But what if he had brought a backup? What
Yeah.
if he had brought another light? He could have said, okay, you know what? This didn't work. Boom. I'm going to just toss it back in the bag. I'll put the light that does work on.
Right, right. So whenever you can, it's really smart. Yeah, and planning. Yeah, so planning for that unexpected, totally critical. Number 7 is using tools to stay organized. And many of you know this, but that really is part of calendar control, time management, if that's really a thing anymore. Now they're saying you can't manage time. So that's why I think a lot of people are saying time blocking and things like that. But tools are critical. So obviously, I've really switched to a Google Calendar. I just found that Google plays well with others where Apple doesn't always. Sorry, Apple. But it's so easy because I have an iPhone, John has an Android, but we can connect our two calendars so easily using Google. And I love it. But and believe me, we don't make any money referring Google. We don't have an affiliate link or anything. But also things like Trello is another great tool that we used for a time. Actually, that came from our LinkedIn coach. Trello, Asana, there's so many out there. Talk to your favorite coach to ask what their favorite tools are when it comes to organization. The benefits of a paper planner, though, to me and John, you heard us talk about this. I think it was last episode or maybe the episode before, but we talked about having a paper planner, a hard copy, I still call it, and digital. Because on the fly, that's great for digital to kind of know, but nothing like handwriting and the act of writing and how that cements in the brain, what you have going on that day and the next day. And then, what my favorite still, one of my favorites, and John laughs at me all the time. The final tip um, on using tools is actually my alarm on my iPhone. I do it all the time. He's like, your alarm's going off again. Your alarm's going off again. Because I get Google reminders on my Google Calendar. Like I have it set to tell me 30 minutes before, 15 minutes before, whatever. But there's something with me. I need that. I just need and John will say, Google has like a much softer, nicer, I don't know, alarm. And I'm like, I know, but that doesn't do well. I'll hear, this, I don't know. Anyway, I just
the
love.
The thing is, you leave your phone, you'll leave the room and she'll leave her phone in the room and then her alarm goes off. And there's alarms going off all day long. And that alarm goes off. And then I'll sit there and look at her phone and I look and she's not in the room. And I'm thinking, well, she's going to hear it. She's going to come in and she's going to turn that thing off. And she doesn't. And it just goes on and on and on.
But if I'm doing the right thing, I was wearing pink yesterday. If I'm wearing my Apple Watch, I'm showing my Apple Watch if you're not watching us on YouTube or Rumble. That's one of the reasons you got me the Apple Watch too. I can turn the alarm off.
It, though. But you're not turning it off.
I knew he was going to bring this up.
That sound, that alarm sound I feel like Pavlov's dog, right? I hear that sound. And if I hear anyone else that has that sound, which a lot of people do, right? Because it seems like they have an iPhone. So I'll hear that in a crowd and I'm like looking around for Vic, first of all. And then I realize she's standing, and it's not her. So I know it's someone else, but it just sends shivers up and down my spine when I hear that sound now. So now you've created that thing. I just have a negative reaction to that Apple alarm sound.
It's just for me, since I have so many different Zoom meetings, this and this, that I for the most important ones, I set the alarm. So it's not all the time, but I know. I'm sure I irritate you. No,
but it makes sense. I was just kidding about it.
We joke about this all the time. Just all like Apple versus, don't get us started on Apple versus Samsung,
we're a house divided for sure. Sure. So number 8 is involving your family. And then why syncing calendars with your spouse or family is essential. We talked about that, right? It just makes sense. Like Vic was saying, that we use like Google, we can then sync our calendars. Whatever it is you use, it doesn't have to be Google, just as long as somehow you sync your calendars. And if you don't use a digital calendar, spend, like we talked about, the 5 minutes in the morning when you're going over your calendar, include your spouse or the rest of your family in that time, because that way you can then sync manually, whether you write it in or talk about it or however you figure out your daily events, that you include everybody, the whole family, so that everybody's in sync. One of the things that before we did this, and even since we've been doing this, there are times that we don't. We'll miss a day. We won't sync our stuff up together. And I'll tell you, it's frustrating when there's something I had planned and there was something Vicky has planned at the same time. And then it becomes like, okay, we're going to arm wrestle to see who gets to do it. And what's really bad is there have been times where we've had one car. Like during COVID, it was ridiculous to have extra cars when we weren't hardly driving anywhere. And
Right.
you're paying insurance on those cars. So we went down to one car. Well, then after COVID lifted and things opened up again, because we're out in California. So California, unlike some other states, we pretty much shut down. I mean, the only things that were open were strip clubs and liquor stores. And since neither of us frequent those establishments, and there's nothing wrong with them if you guys do. I mean, I'm not shaming anyone for that. I'm just saying that we didn't need to drive anywhere.
Right.
And then once the state opened up, and all of a sudden now we were driving again. Then it was a fight. Okay, who's got the car today? Or I need the car at 1:00. Well, I didn't know that.
Right.
So then it made it really important for us to sync our calendars and then get another car.
Right.
Which
Yeah.
we
Which
do
we
both.
d-
We
yeah.
did both.
Yeah. But it's so true. And how many times that we talk, so it's not a perfect world. What we're teaching, we do it, but things fall through the cracks sometimes. So
Yeah.
just know you're normal. If you're fighting, and we never fought, but it was just like, I didn't have that. Well, I told you, no, you didn't. So it's so much easier when you have the calendar sync.
And I usually found out that I did know about it. Like Vic will say, I told you that I had this, whatever I had to do. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I do remember you saying something about that. But it was outside of that planning time. And I think it's important that you spend that time with your family, because that 5 to 10 minutes, and big deal, it's 5 to 10 minutes of your day, right?
Right.
And those minutes are precious, because you can get so much done in that time and sync it all together with the rest of the family, and then everybody's on the same sheet of music, and it's great. Include your kids in it too. Even if your kids aren't building your business, they are in a sense, because they're pulling time away from your business, and it's good time, right? It's quality time. You want to spend time with your family. You want to spend time with your kids. So make sure that they're a part of that. So if there's something that's important to them that they want to do, you want to make sure not to schedule business stuff if you can during that time, so you can spend that time with them.
Right. They're the big rocks that we kind of alluded to at the beginning.
That's why we're doing all this.
Right. You take that jar, you know what we're talking about, right? You take the jar, and the big rocks are what you put in first. So that is family. All the family birthdays, that's what goes on our calendar first. Yeah. Then the medium size rocks, if you will, are for me business and whatnot. And then the sand that fills in all the cracks are all the extra fun stuff that isn't number one family, or entrepreneur driven, right? So yeah, absolutely. I'm with you 100%. And just one quick thing on the calendar there with the kids, I would always keep a handwritten calendar at kind of on the refrigerator. So the whole family knew, and I would have make sure the kids had a different color. Like green was for money. So green was the pen that we used when it was business related. We always did blue because we're a blue family when it was family stuff. So the family went
blue
on there
family
first.
Meaning police family.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Blue family meaning police family, but it meant our family too. And then I did pink for stuff that was for me. And then John had another color, but color coding, but having everybody share in that calendar is huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
And another thing to do too is set aside some time to celebrate victories, right? Celebrate wins. I think that's important for the whole family, and it teaches the right thing for the kids too, because they see that we're not just doing everything we do just to do it. We're doing it for a purpose, and then we're excited and happy about the things that we do accomplish because they're meaningful. And if the kids see that they're meaningful to you, it becomes meaningful to them also.
Yeah, 100%. Yes. And then weekly and monthly reviews. So I don't know about anybody else, but I was a Girl Scout leader and Girl Scout when I was little, when I was in Scouts, and my mom was a leader. Then I followed in her footsteps. Our daughter was a Girl Scout, and then I became a leader. And I will say say what you want about scouting, because I know it's controversial a little bit right now, but the Girl Scouts of America are huge on plan, do, review. They are so great at that, right? So you plan, like your calendar is you planning the success of your life and your business. That's truly what your calendar is. It's your plan. And if it's not on there, then you're failing. If you don't have the action steps to make your dreams come true and goals come true, you're kind of failing. So you need to get that on your calendar. But it's really smart to review after the week's gone by. Review your week and look at where the benchmarks that you set for yourself, the goals that you set. Did you make them happen? What stopped you from making that happen? Was it just laziness that you procrastinated on doing certain things? Be truthful with yourself. And even with the family, it's smart to plan, do, and then review it as well. Like if you go to a family function and maybe there's a blow up, right? It's smart to let everybody simmer down, but then talk about it, right? So, but same with your business life. So to me, that's critical, that you should weekly review yourself. And also after the month, and we talked about that, I believe it was last week. I actually held up that my planner and talked about goals and goal setting. It was the goal setting episode. So um yeah, that's huge. And I definitely learned that in Girl Scouts. And actually, I should say my sorority. Any Pi Beta Phi people out there, put it in the chat. I was in a sorority, I was president, and they taught us a lot of leadership skills. It was wonderful. But a big thing was always reviewing. And we would even send into the home office the review of what we had done. Even I'm in an alumni club right now, and they want us to plan, do review as well. So of course, in your personal life. And then, yeah, John already talked about celebrating your successes. So that is critical. I'm such a big cheerleader that I always want to celebrate successes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then can I add this about scouting? The Girl Scouts, everybody knows Girl Scouts for their cookies, right?
Yeah.
They just have the best cookies and all that. I don't know how many people know about Boy Scouts and their kettle corn.
Oh,
that is amazing.
Yeah, I have had it.
Yeah,
It is good.
and they never get any press, right? It's always the Girl Scouts and the cookies, which there's nothing wrong with that. That's
Yeah.
great. They have great cookies. But if you get a chance to try some of that kettle corn from the Boy Scouts, you're going
Yeah.
to be a kettle corn
Our son
fan.
was a Boy Scout for a little bit. Yeah, that kettle corn is great. And I always try to buy from other scouts. So good.
Yeah, it's a good cause.
Yeah.
Anyways, and then the last thing that we really wanted to talk about, and it goes back to earlier, I think it was number 4. Yeah, morning or nighttime planning. And I said it's probably best to have both. So this is kind of an end of day reset. And it's kind of like, planning the day before the day begins, right? So we take another 5 to 10 minutes at the end of the day. First, you're going to review everything that you accomplished, and hopefully you got everything done on that part of the matrix that was important and urgent, right? It's urgent. So hopefully you got them all done. And then you got probably a big chunk taken out of the things that are important, but not urgent, right? So you want to look at what you've accomplished. And for those items that were important and not urgent, those go into the next day. Just rewrite them down for your next day in your plan. And then in the morning, you're going to see if now are they urgent. Maybe they are, and it's going to be moved to the top of your list. And then you plan for the next day to start with a clear mind. So it is nice to be able to wrap it all up, and you'll sleep better because you put kind of a pin in it, right? You've got the plan already set up for the next day, and you don't have to give it another thought until you wake up. And then you spend that 5 to 10 minutes in the morning taking pictures of the sunrise, right? And then just planning out your day. And then again, celebrate small wins. It helps keep your motivation high to keep doing these things that are going to help carry you along. And I'll tell you one thing: I sleep well at night, and I think one of the reasons why I do, or I can tell you this: the nights that I don't sleep well is when I haven't done a good job of that end of day reset. If I haven't really figured out a plan for the next day, because at some point at night I'm going to wake up, and the thing that's going to hit me is I'm going to be thinking about those tasks that I need to do that upcoming day, and I haven't figured it out yet, and I just keep thinking about it and thinking about it, and once my mind gets rolling that way, falling asleep again is next to impossible. I might as well just get up at 2:30 in the morning and start my day, because I'm not going to go back to sleep.
Yeah, absolutely true. And I was as you're saying all of that, that's me too. And I bet those of you listening, that's you too. And so we've just helped you with your sleeping better at night. If you plan the day before the day begins, you take it out of your head, put it on paper or digitally, and you're going to sleep better.
Yeah. I tell you, the subconscious has such control over you, whether you want to think it does or not. It actually controls you. And by taking that time at night to figuring out what you're going to do the next day. And like I said, you put a pin in it. It's finished. I've got a plan. I'm good to go. Your conscious mind tells your subconscious that, hey, we're good to go the next day.
Yeah.
And then your subconscious is, okay, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's so true. So very good. Really cool. Well, we've given you a lot of tips today. 10 new ideas, or maybe these are ideas you all knew about, but it finally sunk in, right? The student is ready when the teacher appears, or the teacher appears when the student is ready.
There you go.
Everybody gets that twisted around, but it's true, right? Maybe you're ready to hear it now, finally. But honestly, trying too many things also can derail you. So just pick one thing that we talked about today, one of our 10 ideas, and really hone in on that this week and the coming, I was going to say the rest of the month. Yes, but it's Christmas and holidays and New Year's. But take that into January and take that one idea and really put it to use, and leave it in the comments. Come back to this episode and tell us how it worked for you and how it changed something with your life and your business. We would really love to hear from you. And along those same lines, we're still in the middle of our holiday giveaway. Yes. So we are doing 3 weeks of holiday giveaway. We have not picked any winners yet. So if you're hearing this, maybe you meant to enter the giveaway. Maybe you've heard the 2 previous episodes. So it was 11, 12, and now 13. We're telling you about this giveaway. Basically, how to enter is like our podcast, subscribe or follow, whichever it is, on whichever platform, because they call them different things. Leave a review if you can. I've noticed on Spotify you can't leave a review, but on Apple Podcasts you can leave a review. YouTube and Rumble are video places where our podcast lives as well. But there you can easily leave a comment on both of those. And so do that. Leave us a comment. We would so appreciate that. But then in the show notes, we're going to give you our bit.ly link. And I'll just tell you, it's bit.ly. And then it's capital D, capital T, capital W for Dig the Well. And then holiday giveaway. But holiday is capitalized and giveaway is capitalized. And the reason I'm telling you all this is the uppercase and lowercase matter. So it'll be in the show notes, what I just said. But you click on that, it's going to take you to a link to register to win up to $800 in prizes. And we're not saying you can't win more than once. Okay. So we're actually going to put all the names in a hat, and we're giving away $200 groupings of incredible clean skincare, hair care, wellness, and weight loss that has changed our lives. So we're just giving it away. We're just giving out free content and free products. And we're just excited to get to know you better, build a relationship with you on this podcast, have you listen every week. We're just really, really excited about being entrepreneurs ourselves and sharing any little tidbit that we've learned that could possibly help you. So thanks for joining us, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, we won't see you.
Happy holidays.
Yeah, happy holidays to everybody. Our next episode is going to be the day after, and we're keeping it, guys. So Merry Christmas and happy holidays, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye. Thanks for joining us on Dig the Well.
We hope you feel empowered and ready to take on new challenges.
Remember, if we can do it, so can you. Keep learning, keep believing, and going after your dreams.
And if you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone who needs a little inspiration or maybe a nudge in the right direction.
Help us grow this community of go-getters. Together, we can achieve greatness and get back to family.
Thanks for listening, and let's keep digging the well.